You're watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. From Toronto, Ontario, I'm Samia Sayed. Welcome to the show. Now, coming up, we have an interview with Sister Saima Jamal over the social activism scene in Calgary. But first, let's go over the headlines. Calgary Police Association at breaking point over uniform changes. Manitoba Muslims face high levels of Islamophobia, finds new report. Yemeni family accuses Waterloo police of unfair treatment and arrest. Amnesty International official barred from leaving India. And now the details. Calgary Police Chief Mark Neufeld says that officers are at a breaking point over a recent directive to remove the thin blue line from a patch on their uniforms. The Calgary Police Commission consulted widely about the meaning of the symbol. For many, it commemorates dead officers. For others, it is a symbol of white supremacy. The Calgary Police Association asked their 2,000 members to reject the order. The directive has been deferred for 2 weeks for further consultations. Islamophobia is real and poses significant harms to Muslims in Manitoba, claims Idris Al-Bakri, a director of the Manitoba Islamic Association and co-author with Yves Sataradiu of a new report presented Tuesday. Titled Friendly Manitoba, Community Experiences with Islamophobia, the report includes the perspectives of 190 people and interviews with 9 community leaders. 62% of respondents say that they have been subjected to Islamophobia, with numbers disproportionately pointing to women and youth. 43% report experiences with Islamophobia while in school. Local Islamic organizations wanted to learn more about Islamophobia in light of the London attack against a Muslim family. There was no data for Manitoba, so they conducted their own study. A Yemeni couple claims that they have been stereotyped by onlookers, Walmart staff, and the police. Mohammed B and his wife say that they were hugging playfully in the shampoo aisle when an onlooker accused him of choking his wife. Ignoring their accounts, the police led Mohammed B away in handcuffs, abandoning his wife, who speaks little English, in the parking lot. He was charged with assault. The National Council of Canadian Muslims, the Coalition of Muslim Women KW, and Mohammed B, the man in question, had a new news conference on Thursday outside the Waterloo Walmart to draw attention to the incident that occurred in July last year. Akar Patel, chair of the human rights group Amnesty International India, was barred from boarding a flight to the United States today. Patel was stopped at the airport in Bengaluru, capital of the southern Karnataka state. He was told that his name was on India's exit control list because of a case filed against the rights group by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government. Patel is exploring legal options and plans to challenge the decision. Indian authorities are yet to comment on the matter. Patel's is the second case in just over a week of Indian authorities barring government critics from leaving the country. That's it for the news. Now today we will be taking a look at the social and community activism scene in Calgary, some of the initiatives that go on, and how Calgarians can get involved. And to speak to us, we have Sister Saima Jamal, a well-known and awarded Calgary-based social activist and interfaith promoter whose work focuses on refugees and religious discrimination and women's issues. Thank you, Sister Saima, for joining us. Welcome. It's great to have you here today.
Pleasure to be here, and thank you, Samia.
So, Sister Saima, I'd like to begin by asking you, what are some of the issues that you see and you work on that are relevant to the Calgary community?
You know, Calgary, it's a very vibrant city. It's attracting newcomers, refugees, immigrants from all over the world. And my work primarily focuses on the refugees that are coming into Calgary, immigrants that are starting new, that are still considered low income, people that are coming and seeking asylum in the city. So I work a lot of these newcomers, if you pull them all together, and their issues, everything from resettlement to emotional support, crisis support, financial support, Anywhere where the established organizations that are in place in Calgary, when they cannot serve them, we try to make a community support group where they don't fall through the cracks, that there is the community in general there to pick them up, and make sure that whatever help they need, it is there. So my job is to connect these newcomers with the rest of the community. Just any regular person sitting at home that wants to help out can come and do that help. So that's one facet of my work. The other one is my activism work. We are going through like a very, very what should I say, conflictual world these days, especially for us Muslims. The world is full of conflicts. We come from countries where these refugees are coming from, that are getting bombed, that are going through political upheaval, that are, having regime changes, and that are just, becoming very unsafe. And that's why, we need a voice in here to mobilize the whole city to ask for peace in those countries, so that we don't make refugees out of the people, so that we don't have people migrating here looking for safety. So to create a global voice of peace out of Calgary is very important. So my work in terms of the social activism really focuses on those social injustices, ask for peace, ask for an end to these conflict, ask for wherever you see that there is, acts of any sort of terrorism, or, basically, like, you know what I'm talking about, the
Yeah,
acts of injustices that are happening. So that's
exactly.
what I
And so
try.
I'd like to ask you, you mentioned that you pick up on these connections on the refugees who come and they need help. How do you establish that connection? Where do you find them?
It's funny, they find us. So when people need help, they will search everywhere to look for that help. So it is amazing. We've created this group called started off by being called the Syrian Refugee Support Group. Now we call it the Calgary Immigrant Support Society. It was created like at the end of 2015, when that huge influx of Syrian refugees started coming in. But we very quickly realized that we were helping refugees from all over the world, not just Syrians. We were helping low-income immigrants. We were helping single mothers. We were helping Canadians that are really struggling. And even though we would prioritize newly arrived refugees, but every time we'd have extra help to give, we would give it to anyone. And the way we did it is like, we would do it through areas, through neighborhoods, through by neighbors helping their new neighbors. So we'd create like a group of volunteers that are nearby, who are living near that refugee, and we'll ask them, do you want to be like family, friends, volunteers to this family? And at that time, remember, there was big families coming, and the resettlement agencies that were in place weren't equipped to handle that many people coming so quickly. So
And
they
are there a lot of these people or Calgarians who want to lend these supports?
Oh, there was tremendous support. Remember, Calgary at that time the whole Alberta was going through a recession. So even during that recession, to see people opening their hearts and their resources, their time to help these newcomers, it was just amazing. SubhanAllah, I've never seen that much generosity from not just Muslim Calgarians. Most of this was done by non-Muslim women, so they were 90% of the people that came out to help. And it created this way of that, to overcome the barriers, the unknown fear that a lot of people had about refugees that were coming in, that thought that this might not be what we want in our country. The moment they'd go to volunteer, the moment they'd go to come to our warehouse, this big donation center we had, and start helping a refugee with finding a pair of shoes for their child, those previous whatever notion they had about that refugee would just melt away. It'll create a bond, a bridge between the newcomer and the Canadian.
And that's exactly what I want to pick up on. Now, we hear a lot about interfaith efforts having this way of navigating or even surpassing the harm that we see with targeted attacks, and Calgary has been no stranger to that. How do interfaith efforts look like in Calgary?
Right from my university days, it was right after 9/11 that I saw what can happen if we just work in our own bubble. Doing interfaith work, making bridges between different communities is so essential for us to survive and thrive in this community. So in here, there is the our established institutions that does open mosques, that invites people to come over and meet us. But for us, everything that we don't do in a bubble with just Muslims. We always make it open for everyone to join in. So our group, it has a ton of non-Muslims in there from every different background, and they're always there whenever we post something, whether it is even buying Eid clothes for a family that's struggling. We'll post it, and you see this non-Muslim person will pick it up right away. It's like, oh, I don't know what Eid clothes are, but I will definitely go and buy this family Eid clothes. Just let me know what they need and where do I go to buy it. So
Now I can see you have quite an experience of working with refugees as well as interfaith efforts, and you wear multiple hats within your community. And so I'd like to ask, what are some of the challenges that you face when you're working on these efforts?
there are definitely a lot of challenges. Sometimes you get volunteer fatigue. You're working on this issue again and again with the same people. So that's why we're always trying to attract new volunteers, so that people who have been helping out for the last 3-4 years don't feel like, okay, I'm still doing it. They try and do something else. There's also, I'll tell you, when you work with people that have been in a war situation for over 10 years, they don't always expect somebody to do something for you just simply because, for the sake of Allah, or because they believe in the cause. They might always think that you might be getting something in return. You might be doing it for some ulterior motive. So sometimes, just to explain to the people that you're helping them out, is that you have no motive other than you just want them to be settled and be happy. It sometimes gets a little daunting to explain.
Well, unfortunately, Sister Saima, that's all the time we have today. I know that we just scratched the surface about your work in Calgary, and we'd love to pick up on some of the work you've done, of course, in the future. But mashallah, keep up the great work.
Thank you, Samia.
You are watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. That's it from our Toronto studios tonight. Make sure to like, subscribe, and share our channel for more Canadian Muslim content. Stay safe, and until next time.